Hey Australia, we need to talk. Recently you may have seen this notification for an open letter from Google. You probably pressed dismiss, and now you're wondering why it matters. Just another large multinational company trying to avoid paying its dues, right? Well, yeah, but it's a bit of a weird situation, so let's break it down. This open letter from Google talks about the News Media Bargaining Code.
But why should we ever trust anything Google or Facebook have to say?
That's a great question, Jim. The tech giants are only really here to serve themselves. And much like a fat guy at an all-you-can-eat buffet, they would take everything if they could. But for now, let's take them out of the equation and see what the code actually says. Please take an objective view. Also, read the bill and its supporting documents before you make up your mind. We aren't here to tell you what to think, we're just trying to highlight the issues that we see as most fucked up. The outline for the bill says, this bill establishes a mandatory code of conduct to address bargaining power imbalances between digital platforms and Australian news businesses. The bill covers many topics from bargaining for revenue to mediation and arbitration. The code also mentions small news organisations multiple times, so keep that in mind as we will be coming back to it. But the main point of interest for us has been the minimum standards section. This section talks about user information and the algorithm on which content is shown to viewers. It would force Google and Facebook to provide these media companies with a key to rankings and viewership patterns, basically ensuring that you only really get to see what they have to say. And with that, folks, you can start waving goodbye to your rights and freedoms to information. But that's not all. These news organizations fall under much larger corporations. You think that these big media businesses won't use the master key for all their content and not just news? Look, I love MasterChef as much as the next person. I think it's a great show. But I also know I'd much rather climb through 500 yards of shit-smelling foulness, Andy Dufresne style, than to have it constantly come up in my suggested content. And to say these companies really care about you or your freedoms is like saying dingoes really care about babies, or this man really cares about basic mathematics.
What's 9 plus 10? You stupid.
So now you've lost your rights to information. But that's not the end of the world, right? Guess it depends on your values. Sadly though, this bill is the gift that just keeps on giving. The bill also has a section on user comments.
User comments? Now why would a bill that is meant to level the playing field between tech giants and media companies mention user comments?
Good question. Why would it? This section mandates that Google and Facebook are to allow these companies to either censor specific comments, ban specific people, or get rid of commenting altogether on the content that they are giving to you. Now don't get me wrong, these are privileges these media companies already had, but to write it into law is just straight up insane. So to recap, you take our information from companies that debatably shouldn't be collecting it in the first place, and you give it to big Australian media businesses so they can provide us with tailor-made solutions to our information needs. Then you ensure those same companies can censor our discussions on those little packets of information selected specifically for us on the platform where the information was first collected about us. Does anyone else see the cyclical nature of what's being done here? Not only does this code ensure control over what we see, but they're taking your speech away as well. So no more discussions or debate. Just taking the information, you'll be spoon-fed by organizations with very apparent agendas. In other words, 2020 will soon be written as a prequel to 1984. So understandably, you wouldn't have heard much about the algorithm or the extra information that only these organizations are meant to gain access to. And why would you? Not only does it not serve their purpose to have an informed population, this knowledge would probably see active pushback against their interests. A key to the Google and YouTube algorithm gives the media businesses an unfair advantage when compared to all other Australian creators. It allows them to essentially monopolize the internet ad revenue the same way they had TV. And they will do it under the veil of protecting investigative journalism. So let's talk about that for a minute. Since internet use has really picked up, legacy media is finding it harder to maintain their grip on what you see. Currently, they're also the ones that are better equipped to pursue investigative journalism. However, protecting investigative journalism doesn't have to entail protecting these companies. To say only these companies are capable of effective journalism is like saying dinosaurs are the only animals capable of populating the earth. For a good example of new age journalism, just look at Crikey. They've been digital from the start, and if you need to know what's going on, they're much better than the propaganda machine that is corporate media. So we say let these dinosaurs either adapt to a new age, or help them make their way to your closest museum. Don't let them monopolize the internet and control what you see. Don't give up your rights to increase their revenue. Investigative journalism creates real value for the public, and there are steps to be taken which would address the issue. For instance, Google, Facebook, and other platforms can be mandated through a bill to ensure that news organizations which break news stories firsthand should be ranked higher than organizations that simply republish the same news story. This sort of system would likely see revenue directed to the correct journalists who provide real value. The system will not be perfect, but at least it would be a good start in the right direction. And there is a case to be made for better bargaining between smaller media companies and tech giants. Currently, very little leverage exists for journalists and creators to be able to bargain, and a proper bargaining framework needs to exist. But that is as far as bargaining should go. Sadly though, this bill isn't just about bargaining as the name would suggest. The fact that this bill is being passed at a time when so much of the public's attention is diverted elsewhere is also, well, shady is the word if I'm being polite. Politicians in the ACCC have been saying this will help small news media companies around Australia, but there simply aren't that many of them left. A large majority of news outlets, from newspapers to radio and TV, are either controlled by Nine Network or Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, with a few other players controlling what remains. And you want to know the real jarring fact? The ACCC are the ones that allowed these monopolies to rise.
But now they want to come out and say that they're here to protect the small news companies of Australia and support media diversity as a cornerstone of our democracy. Really? You really expect Crikey.com to have algorithm engineers and a team of technicians on hand to make use of any of this information? And as for media diversity, the ABC and the SBS have seen continuous budget cuts since 2014. So now you may be saying, won't a bargaining framework help them to stay afloat if the government cuts funding? Well, I have news for you. The ABC and the SBS are not allowed to bargain under this code. That benefit simply does not apply to our national broadcasters in the same way it applies to multi-billion-dollar private-owned ventures. All I want to say is if this code was truly here to protect our democracy, through maintaining the value of journalism and media diversity in Australia, it wouldn't get the main offenders who break down these values so excited.
But Rupert Murdoch got his first erection in 30 years when this code was announced.
I'll let Kevin Rudd explain how that should make you feel.
G'day folks, K-Rudd here. I've been thinking a bit about this proposed new Australian news media bargaining code. Now, I always get a little bit suspicious when the Murdoch media get really excited about something, and they're really excited about this code. I get doubly suspicious when Scotty from marketing produces legislation to make the Murdoch media feel really happy.
Ah, Kevin, you sure know what you're talking about. And then again, you did lose your seat to the Edition Magician, so yeah. Anyhow, now you may be asking, what can we do? And I'm going to be honest with you. The due date for written submissions to the ACCC actually closed on the 28th of August, so we are admittedly a little late to this party. But the bill still needs to pass the House of Representatives and the Senate, so there is still time for us to take action and protect our democracy. The first thing you should do is read the bill and all its explanatory notes on the ACCC website. If you feel this bill should be opposed, you can sign this change.org petition to abolish the bill. This petition was started by Economics Explained, so check out their video to see the economic and content ramifications this code will have on our lives. If you scroll down on the petition page, you will see a link which automatically composes this letter to be sent to all ACCC commissioners and also each Australian senator. If you want to go even further, head over to this website and enter your postcode. This will display the representative of your district. Here you can click on the Connect tab and use whichever method of communication is preferred by your specific representative. It may be email or a website where you can directly contact them. Now don't get us wrong, we are all for a bargaining framework to ensure everyone gets a fair price. But losing the value of our democracy by giving a few already way too big media companies so much power over what we see and how we talk is not the way to go about it. This code is not the way to go about it. Otherwise, these monopolies will continue to grow and independent journalism will be just a memory. This isn't a partisan issue. Regardless of whether you're a conservative, progressive, or however you choose to align your beliefs, what's most important is the choice. Stand for it and fight against the corporations trying to take control of the information you receive for just a bit more revenue. Also, I know us Australians love to protest, as we should, but now is not the time. If protests are organised to oppose this code, they will only be used against the movement as a distraction because all of a sudden opposing this code is a public health concern. This fight is for the internet and that's where we should keep it. There is also not enough awareness about what's happening at the moment. Please share this video around to get the message out. Start a conversation and start talking about the issue. Also, please use hashtag #NotMyCode, hashtag OurTube, and hashtag sign the petition.
The next minute we'll address Aussie content creators. We currently don't actually have any of our equipment, but if we were able to pump this out, you guys can really make some amazing content and get the message across. So to all you amazing artists that call this country home, now's the time to step up and use your reach to make a difference. Well, that's it from us. Comment if you think we missed something, or even if you think we are just pawns fighting for the tech companies. We want to hear what you have to say. We'll try to be back as soon as possible with some amazing content, but until next time, stay safe and be nice.